Yesterday, about 60 members of the House of Representatives were seeking amendment to, or are still seeking amendment to the 1999 Constitution to transition from the current presidential system to the parliamentary system of government. Led by lawmaker representing Lagos State under the All Progressives Congress, Wale Raji, the lawmakers identified the need for reducing the cost of government and robust policy debates, among others, as some of the reasons for demanding the return to the parliamentary system. The spokesperson for the 60 governors, the committee, actually addressed
the 60 lawmakers, you mean?
Yeah, the 60 lawmakers spoke about it, and we'll go into the details as we proceed. But following the presentation of the bills, the lawmakers said they intend to ignite, provoke a national conversation about the future of the Nigerian governance system, ensure the robust public debates, stakeholder consultations, expert analysis, and a thorough and informed decision-making process, and raise awareness about these significant developments and encourage constructive dialogue on the potential implications of these proposed constitutional alterations. That's four. Now, first of all, just for enlightenment, before we go deeper into this issue, I'll start with you, citizen. Can you shed some light on the difference between the parliamentary government and, of course, the presidential government?
Thank you very much. You see, people must choose the system of governance that best suits them. And when you look back at the formative stage of Nigeria, before independence, we need to have a constitution. And that constitution spelled out the system of governance that the people felt they would be comfortable with. And you know that the amalgamation of the northern and southern protectorate brought together two segments of nations who did not have a lot in common. Religion was different, their values were different, the level of educational attainment was different, their culture, their values, absolutely different. And they thought, how would we coexist now that we are to be independent? And after about 7 years of deliberations, they came up with the constitution, which made it possible for the federating units to be independent to an extent, and then adopt the parliamentary system where the head of the government was to be elected as a parliamentarian. So the independence constitution that we had of 1960 was for Nigeria to operate a parliamentary system of governance, which will give every sector that sense of belonging. Nobody will stand election as president. There's no president in parliamentary system. What you have is prime minister. And you are not going to contest election as a prime minister. You are contesting election as a parliamentarian. When you now go to the parliament, your colleagues will now elect one of them as the prime minister. Yeah, they had the ceremonial president. It was ceremonial. He didn't have any executive power. And then even the ministers to form the EXCO were also members of the parliament. And that made the parliament and the executive not to have dividing lines. And it made the parliament superior. A prime minister who's underperforming You just sit down in the parliament and pass vote of no confidence. And then he comes back to the parliament and sits. Another person goes.
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, the parliamentary system was what our forebears, who sacrificed a lot. They had their weaknesses, yes, but they were honest to themselves. And one of them was so honest that he made a statement I'll never forget in my life. Okono, he said, we are one Nigeria, but we all know the road to our father's house.
Mm.
In the north, northerners believed so much in the unity, oneness, and their values enough that the person that was eyed to be the head of government as prime minister, he felt it was a demotion. You know what he chose? He nominated another person to be the prime minister, while he remained as a premier of the northern region, because to him, Nigeria is not it. What's important was his people. I hope you're following me. So, that was what made our people to accept to come together. Unfortunately, when the military truncated that era and they came up with the unitary system, that parliamentary system, the regions, they were making their money, controlling their resources, and paying a percentage to the center. Very important element of it, the practice of physical federalism. That is the core thing that you find in parliamentary system, and which was why our forebears accepted independence. But with the khaki people coming in, and then introduction of the unitary system, where the center controlled everything, the war ensued. After the war, post-war arrangements, even with the desire for reconciliation, they still accepted the unitary system. When civilian came, they still continued with the unitary system and refused to look back at what brought us together. The summary is that the adoption of the presidential system, where there are clear separation of powers from the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, has not added value to Nigeria. One, it is very expensive. Two, the supposed leaders have been so unproductive that anybody that would beat his chest that we've had 10% of our leaders being productive, with the little that I have lived to see, I'll be willing to go into debate with such a one, as long as operating the presidential system is concerned. The productivity level that we've had is absolutely nothing to write home about. Enough that, comparing even military rule that we had, you discover that the military did far, far more in terms of delivery of dividends of governance than virtually all the civilian administrations put together. It is an indictment. And my joy is that as we speak, after the 2023 general elections, that any Nigerian that has conscience, that loves this country, should be ashamed at the final outcome, but we have to manage everything that has come out of it. I tell you sincerely, I said to myself, and I still say it, I've said so even here, that we've never had a better time for a new Nigeria. Because the consciousness that there's something wrong and we must correct it has dawned on all of us. So, the conversation being brought to public domain by Wale Raji is APC in Lagos State, and that's the state of Mr. President, and there are 60 of them. They are not all from APC. They have PDP, one of the spokespersons happens to be, what's his name now? Abdul Samad Dasuki is PDP from Sokoto State. I am personally going to research today to see the spread of the sponsors of that bill, and I want to submit. There are 60 now, and we have 300 and something of them.
Yeah, about that.
360.
Yeah.
The House of Reps.
Yeah.
I am expecting 360 members to be sponsors of that bill. For me, it's supposed to be an executive bill. But since the House of Reps have decided to do this, I'm expecting all the members to be co-sponsors of this bill. And then I expect citizens to join the conversation, which is what they have called for, to streamline. And we will not wait till 2031. It is a matter of very urgent national importance that we must fashion out the best way we can give a new life to Nigeria.